So let's hand on to our next speaker. Please put your hands together and help me welcome Stephen Blunston.
Thank you, Tom. So, hi everybody. So, I'm Stephen Blunston, and I'm a local property investor, full-time investor from just up the road in Birmingham. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background story as to what brings me right here today, because I've certainly not always been a full-time property investor. So for 10 years, I spent 10 years in the British military. 5 of those were serving in the Special Forces. And I actually, love this job. As a young guy, it was a fantastic career to have. Lots of travel, lots of adventure, lots of excitement, doing all the Ant Middleton stuff that you see on TV. But throughout my military career, I actually met somebody, a lovely lady called Leanne, who I know a few of you have met. And I think from that moment, the thought of being in the military really started to grate on me, the thought of staying for a while, as I really started to realize that I wasn't in control of my life. I didn't decide where I was going to go, how long I was going to go away for, or more importantly, when I was going to come back. And with wanting to, build more of a relationship with Leanne, that really started to grate on me. So in 2015, I decided to leave the military, and shortly after, me and Leanne got married and had little baby Benjamin. But straight after leaving the military, I actually managed to get a job working for a disaster response charity. And I think I naively thought that this job was going to be more of a relaxing career for me. However, that was completely the opposite. That photo was taken a year and a half ago in the Caribbean, straight after Hurricane Maria had passed through and absolutely ripped the place apart. So I'd found that I'd just left the military and I'd just walked into exactly the same trap that I'd just got myself out of. And although, yes, it was a cool job, again, loads of travel, loads of excitement, it was certainly quite selfish of me because, not only did I have Leanne at home, but I also had a 1-year-old little Benjamin. So it was a real challenge for me at the time. I wasn't in control of my life, and something big needed to change. I needed to regain that control back. But throughout this time, and the pictures that you see on there, throughout the kind of last 10 years of my life, I've been fortunate enough to invest in property, but really at what I would describe as a very, very amateur level. I'd purchased a number of properties from cash that I'd inherited and money that I'd saved up, but really what I knew about property at the time just wasn't worth knowing. I really didn't know anything. But bringing me up to kind of the last 12 months for me, so right at the start of 2018 now, I was aware of the PIN community, but I was quite a skeptic towards any property-related training. I thought, I'd certainly seen these banners, but, I thought that's a load of rubbish. People don't actually achieve that. So I didn't actually think it was going to be anything for me, until unbeknown to me, I actually realized that I knew somebody personally who had actually previously stood up on here on stage quite a few years ago. And when I actually realized that that was the case, I then started taking the PIN network a bit more seriously. And me and Leanne actually booked ourselves onto the Accelerator course right in this very room only 11 months ago. And we had an absolutely fantastic time, right up to the point that I actually decided to go straight onto the Mastermind program myself. And obviously that's then what I started some 11 months ago. But right at the start of Mastermind, because of this big decision that I'd made, I left the charity right at the start of 2018. I really needed to increase my income. So the very first thing that I did was learn a new strategy. And this was a strategy that I'd previously not known about. It was something that I only learned since being on Mastermind. And basically, I repurposed a number of my traditional buy-to-let properties to be used as serviced accommodation to really give me that boost in cash flow. However, for the first few months of Mastermind, I think I definitely got the shiny penny syndrome. You learn a lot right at the start of Mastermind, but I really struggled to gain traction. I think I wasn't quite focused enough. My reason why, probably right at the start, wasn't quite big enough. I used to laugh and joke with everybody saying that, when they ask you what your strategy is, I used to laugh saying, well, mine's just basically trying to provide a case study for every chapter of Property Magic. And it's just not sustainable. You just can't do that. But something happened throughout my mastermind year, as many of you in the room know, that really caused me to focus and take big action. And basically, that was the arrival of our second little boy, baby Jacob, there on the right-hand side with his brother Benjamin. And this really caused me to focus. This was the kick up the backside that I really needed to focus on exactly what I was going to do and really get my mind into it. I really had a big mindset shift at this time. But for me, the last 12 months has really been a story of persistence. It really, really has. 5 out of the 6 deals that I've secured since being on the program have all fell through at least once. And, I've had to kind of really piece them back together as best as I possibly could. And, when people are saying, oh, just give up, just walk away, I've not done that. I've just kept going and kept pushing. And fortunately, it's worked out for me. But, with the persistence, I think it's kind of staying true to your values. And, being an ex-military man, 2 of my biggest values are integrity and honesty. And I think staying true to those values has really helped me with that persistence. And, as you get knocked down, just get back up and just keep going again. So, bringing on to some of the deals then that I've done on Mastermind. So, this is the first big deal that I kind of came across, 28 and 30 Victoria Road. So these properties are located just up the road in Tamworth. And basically, there are 2 Victorian properties side by side that were previously being used as a children's day nursery that unfortunately went into liquidation some 18 months ago. But as you can see there, they're quite sizable properties. And really, they're smack bang in the town centre. Nice little market town, as I say, just on the outskirts of Birmingham. But these properties, they've been poorly marketed. Although, yes, they were commercial properties, they're on the market with residential estate agents. And when I actually came around to viewing them, they'd already been on the market for 6 months with a different estate agent. And unfortunately, these agents were just feeding the vendor with quite unrealistic expectations as to what the property is going to be worth. They were really valuing them based on the residential use, which is certainly not what they were. So this certainly caused a number of challenges, and this is then where the persistence for me started to kick in. So we managed to negotiate on the price. However, the challenging negotiations took a number of months. And unfortunately, it wasn't only the agents who were struggling with it, it was the vendors, and unfortunately the solicitors as well. Just this whole issue around them not really understanding the commercial elements of the property. But basically what happened was they ended up going to auction earlier this year after unfortunately the sale fell through last year. And I'm really happy to say that with the help from a number of people in the PIN community, we're able to secure them at auction for £50,000 less than what our agreed sale price was last year. So we're really happy with that. And basically these were funded using Crowd Property, who did the raise on them about 4 weeks ago now. And they've raised the finance for them in 5 minutes and 43 seconds. So again, we're really, really chuffed with that. And basically, the plan with these 2 properties is that they're set to become two large HMOs. So I'll quickly run you through the figures. So the combined purchase price for the 2, although yes, they're on different titles, but the combined purchase price for the 2 is $425,000. The refurb costs, that's definitely a high figure. It's just a high estimate of £200,000. The commercial valuation is £800,000, and this has been verified by Rick's valuer. The money left in, so my money left in after refinance is going to be £87,000. And although that looks like a lot, what we're really chuffed with is the cash flow. So this cash flow of £44,000 after all costs, that's more than what my military income was and more than what my income was working for the charity. So straight away, we're really, really happy with this deal. And that gives us an ROI of 50% based on our money left in. Now, as we were looking at this property, we didn't really have particularly far to go to find our next deal. In fact, we literally just went next door. So as you can see, 26 Victoria Road, it's the property on the right of this picture here, right next door to 28 and 30, funnily enough. And I literally only came across this property, although again it was on Rightmove. I only came across it because I was viewing the properties next door. And this was a block of 3 flats, but again, it was poorly marketed. The agent had them on Rightmove, but none of the properties were co-located. They were all over the town centre on the map. So we'd agreed a sale, but again, unfortunately, it fell through because of Rick's valuer substantially downvaluing them. But what we were able to do is renegotiate the terms of the sale. So effectively, we used purchase options, which allow us to exchange on 1 flat per financial year for the next 3 financial years, thus helping the owner with his capital gains tax. He was extremely happy with that. And also the benefit of it is, as well, for the next 3 financial years, we're not actually paying any rent on the property at all, which is fantastic. So quickly run you through the figures. And as I say, all of these 3 flats are going to be serviced accommodation because of their town centre location. So the purchase price on this is $195,000, and that's including the freehold as well. The refurb costs are going to be £80,000 across the whole property. We're looking at a commercial valuation on this of £400,000. However, if we don't quite achieve that, we're still able to get a really good bricks and mortar valuation on this property because of its location. Providing we get these figures, we're looking at pulling £2,000 out, and the net cash flow is £23,000 a year, and that gives us an infinite return on investment. So again, we're really, I've got a real passion for Victorian properties, if you haven't already guessed, and we're really happy with this terrace of 3. Absolutely gorgeous properties. So a quick summary of figures. I've just put another picture up there of another property that unfortunately I haven't quite got the time to talk about that we've also managed to secure since being on the programme. But I've managed to actually make more money since being on the course than I was anticipating, and that's really by lending out my own investment right at the start of Mastermind when I was really kind of dragging my feet. So we've made £10,000 in interest. The total value of the property that we've purchased, so the gross development value of all the property that we've purchased on Mastermind is £1.375 million. Our annual cash flow is £77,000. And I've also put this figure on as well, the additional cash flow. So basically what this is, as I say, since being on the programme, I've learned a new strategy, serviced accommodation, and this is the additional cash flow that new strategy is creating me that on top of the buy-to-let income. And as I say, this is something that I didn't know anything about before Mastermind. So my top tips. So taking action and mindsets. As I've said, for the first few months of me being on Mastermind, it was a real drag. Took me a while to really find my feet. I guess my mind wasn't quite in it. And I really struggled to focus for the first few months. I guess my reason why wasn't quite big enough, which is why everything's kind of came along right at the end of my Mastermind year. So my top tip really is, you need to be focused from day one, because if you're not focused, you're not going to necessarily be taking that massive action that you need to take. Take calculated risks. Yes, property investing is a risky business, but providing you mitigate the risks as much as you possibly can and take calculated risks using the power of the network, then you've got nothing really to worry about. Persistence. I know I've spoke about this, but I really do think it's key, and I know a number of people have also spoke about this today, but when you get knocked down, you've got to get back up again and just keep going and keep pushing. Investors and proving your credibility. What of my experience of investors, it's not necessarily that they're investing in my particular deals or in Alpha One Properties, my business. It's that they're investing in Stephen Blunston. So I think, you really need to prove your worth to your investors and, make sure that you stay true to your values and make sure that other people can see that as well. Use the network. You guys are absolutely phenomenal group, absolutely incredible. But as well, so are the wider PIN community is incredible. There's so much knowledge out there, so many people who just really want to help as much as they can, and you just need to use it. The knowledge and information is there to be used. Sacrifice. This year, we've had our second little boy, little Jacob, and unfortunately, I've not really been there as much as I should have, because I've been so busy. Mastermind does take sacrifice. It is hard work. But, if you do that hard work, you work hard once and it pays you then for the rest of your life. Providing you're aware of that and have that mindset, you will succeed. But finally, I really want to say thank you. A big thank you to Simon Zutshi for creating this incredible environment. Big thank you to everybody in the room who's helped me in one way, shape or form throughout the last 12 months. But most importantly, I really do need to say thank you to Leanne, my wife, and my 2 little boys, because without them, I wouldn't really be up here on stage at the moment. And as I say, I've sacrificed a lot, and they have as well for the last 12 months. But no, thank you everybody. Cheers.